story of the week, which is The Case of the Gasping Garbage by Michelle Torrey. You have now read it as a class. We have read it individually by yourself, and now we're going to read some selections of it and look at our skill for the week. So remember what our comprehension skill was that we have been working on. Raise your hand if you remember our skill for the week. Too long? Contractions. Yes, contractions is one of our skills. Contractions is what we're working on for our spelling. What do you think, Terry? Synonyms and antonyms. Okay, so synonyms and antonyms is another skill. You guys are good. What was our comprehension skill? Hint, hint. Comprehension skill. 8 now. Compare and contrast. And when we compare and contrast, we know that compare means something and contrast means something. So when we're comparing something, that means that those things are, we're comparing, they're alike. So for example, I can say Miss Sakala and I are alike because we are both women. We're both girls. Okay? I can say Miss Sakala and I are different because of our age. I think she's a little bit older than me. And do you have kids?
Yes.
She has kids and I do not have kids. So that's how we're different. So to compare, if you look at our backboard, to compare means when two things are the same or alike. How are they the same or alike? What figurative language, let's bring a little bit of writing into it. What figurative language do we use to talk about with comparing two things? Oh, Tyler. Similes. What else, Terry? Similes and metaphors. So here we are, we're linking writing to language arts. What about math? Do you ever compare numbers in math?
Yes.
Yes, Lily, when have we been comparing numbers in math? With fractions. When you guys have these fractions, 1/4 and 2/5, and all these other fractions you're doing, you're comparing them to see which one is greater and which one is less. So that's another example, Nate, I'm up here, of how we're comparing things. Close your book. Okay? We're also talking about contrasting, so when things are different. See, raise your hand if you give me an example of how someone is different than you. Different. Demetra, can you give me an example of how someone's different than you? What about you and Lily?
She's a girl and I'm a boy.
She's a girl and you're a boy. And can you please take off your hood? That is your last warning. All the way down. Thank you. All right, Jessie, can you give an example of how you are different than Sammy? You have black hair. What color hair does Sammy have? Brown hair. Kind of like almost my color. Let's see. Mia, what's an example of how you are alike Hayden? What about where you are in this classroom? We're in the same classroom. They have the same teachers. They're at the same table. Janiyah, how are you alike Zachary? How are you and Zachary alike?
We're in the same class.
You're in the same classroom, but Zachary, how are you different? What colors you're wearing? Oh, Zachary's wearing a jacket. Janiyah's not wearing a jacket. So there's a lot of ways that we can compare. Let's see, Tyler has a comparison. Let's see, you and Emily. Nate, head up, please. Thank you. For different, how are you and Emily different? Different backgrounds. So, for example, what's your background? Tyler is Vietnamese, and Emily, you're Vietnamese, right?
No.
Just kidding. Emily, you would say you're Caucasian, which is the word for saying that you're white. You're not Hispanic or anything else, right? Okay. So you're contrasting yourselves. When we read our story, The Case of the Gasping Garbage, which was on page 24, so open up your textbooks to page 24. 26. You were comparing, we talked about yesterday just a little bit, comparing some characters in your book. Okay? What were the characters I really focused on comparing? The characters that I really focused. Jackson, what was one of the characters I really was trying to, you guys, who?
Doyle.
Doyle, what was his first name? Was it Drake Doyle?
Drake.
Drake Doyle, and then who else, Tyler?
Nell Fossey.
Nell Fossey, and then who else, Terry?
James Frisco.
James Frisco. You guys are all stars, okay? Phenomenal job. That's the characters that we're going to focus on comparing today. But before we do that, I want to talk about, we have our skill, which is compare and contrast. What was that diagram draw that Ms. Walton loves to do when we're comparing and contrasting something? It's this beautiful diagram. It should be in a painting, right? Courtney? A Venn diagram. A Venn diagram. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a Venn diagram together. Mia, please don't do that with your book. We're going to do a Venn diagram together, and then we're going to break off in partners. And I have poster paper back there, and we're going to do Venn diagrams in partners. So the learning objective for today is to focus on how we can compare and contrast to help us be better readers. How, when you are reading, and you guys are monitoring your reading, you're asking yourself, when you do your unravel during a test or during school, you're always asking yourself, what am I reading? What's happened so far in the story? But you're also comparing and contrasting, and a lot of times you guys are doing this without even realizing it. The second that you read Drake Doyle and Nell Fossey, what was the first comparison you made in your head, Lily? Nell's a girl and Drake's a boy. You're already comparing and contrasting, whether you go, oh, I am comparing these two characters right now. Do you actually say that? No, you don't actually say that, but Dietrich, he knows that when he's reading, he's actually comparing and contrasting his characters throughout the story. And then our strategy was to visualize. So if you look at the back at our essential question, how can visualizing while you read help you become a better reader? So visualizing means to draw a picture in your mind. And what I did yesterday was I had you close your eyes. Let's do it again. Close your eyes. Okay. Imagine. Aiden, now close your eyes. Aiden, see. Marcus. It's a hot summer day. You have your favorite bathing suit on. Okay. You're running from your house down to the pool, down the street, or in your backyard. Okay? Then you jump, the biggest jump you've ever done in your life, into the water, and it's freezing cold, and it makes a huge splash, and the water goes all over your friends or brothers and sisters in the pool. It's so cold, and you're gasping for air, jumping out of the water, and then you get out of the water, you jump in all over again. Okay, open your eyes. I helped you draw a picture in your mind. What kind of details did I forget, though? Because my picture wasn't that great. Could I have added more details? Yeah, what kind of details could I have added, Hayden? Listen to Hayden. Focus on Hayden. You guys are doing great.
You got out, when you got out, you could have said, I was so cold I couldn't make it back to where your friends or whatever are.
Okay, so I could have given more details about what you felt like when you got out of the water, what you did next. What else? Lily, bathrooms? Okay.
Yeah.
Bathroom? That's your question.
What was the jump?
What was the jump? Was it a dive? Was it a pencil? Was it a pike? What kind of dive? Was it a spin dive? Cannonball, pencil. What else, Eva? What about what's your attire? What do you think?
What your bathing suit looks like, why you like it.
Why you like the bathing suit? What color is it? And this goes into your writing. What else, Emily?
What does your pool look like?
What does your pool look like? So is it a L-shaped pool? Agency? Is it a figure 8 pool? Is it a huge rectangle pool with lanes that you can swim up and down? Right, Daniel? Head up, please. Okay. So visualizing can help you compare and contrast, because when you're visualizing something, you can see how it's different. Because a lot of times we can compare and contrast people's traits, so whether someone's nice, whether someone's mean, whether someone's helpful, whether someone is selfless and does everything for everyone else. You can use your character traits, but you can also compare and contrast using what people are wearing. Okay? So let's go to the slide that talks about compare and contrast sometime today. So when you compare and contrast, you tell how two or more things are alike or different. Compare and contrast is something we do while we're reading. You can also compare and contrast something you already know. So by comparing and contrasting, it helps us find more details, possibly about something that you already know. So I'm going to compare and contrast. I'm going to use our Venn diagram that we've been doing. Get a white background. I'm going to do a Venn diagram for compare and contrast. And I want to show you guys how compare and contrast doesn't always have to be perfect circles. No, I'm just saying. How compare and contrast can be used through other subjects. So we can compare and contrast multiplication and subtraction. We can compare and contrast the British and the Spanish and the French, right? We could do a triple Venn diagram with 3 circles. Okay. Or what did we just learn about in science that we could compare and contrast? Nate.
We can compare how the moon is, and so we can compare.
I agree with the moon. I agree. Let's make one of my circles for the moon. We can compare and contrast. Well, what do you compare and contrast in the moon to? Because you know there has to be more than one date name.
Sun.
The sun. I like it. I like where this is going. And then there's one more thing we can compare and contrast in here. Jesse. The earth. So we're going to take what we've learned. And I do not draw perfect circles. That should be a capital E. The earth is a proper noun. We can take what we've been learning. Yes, Terry?
The 13 colonies and the non-13 colonies.
You could compare and contrast the 13 colonies and the other states before they became states. You could compare and contrast Georgia to Florida. Miss Vincent's class and Mr. Lasser's class. But we're going to do something complicated here. We're going to compare and contrast the moon, the earth, and the sun. Do you think we do all 3 together? No, too hard. Okay, let's try. Let's start with simple. What do we know about all 3? All 3 of them. Let's raise our hand. Now.
They're all spheres.
They're all spheres. So a sphere is kind of here's our globe right here. Our globe is not a perfect circle. It's a sphere that rotates on its axis. AC, please put your book away. That's your last warning. Then we move cards. Yes, Tyler.
They're both, all 3 of them are both in our solar system.
Ooh, great job, Tyler. They're all in our solar system. Okay. Now let's go over to our moon. Let's focus on just the moon right now. What do we know about the moon? The moon. Think about what we've learned about the moon from reading. Marcus? Rock. Made out of rock and dust. And Marcus just opened a category. What it's made out of. Can we do the same thing? What it's made out of for the other 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it made out of, Daniel? It's made out of hot gases. It's a ball of hot. What did you say, Daniel?
Oh, it's a ball.
Ball of hot gases. And then who thinks they know what the Earth is made out of? Courtney. Rock and liquid. Please put your book away. Rock and liquid. So now we have seen they are the same because they're all in our solar system, but they're different because they're made out of different things. Yes, you may go to the bathroom. Yes, Amy.
I know the one for Earth and Moon.
What's Earth? One for Earth and Moon.
There are both traces of ice.
Ooh, there's traces of ice. So Sandy says there's traces of ice on the Earth and the Moon. Why did I not write that in the very center? Why would I just put traces of ice with Moon and Earth while I'm comparing them? Hayden, please take this. Take that Bible. What do you think, Courtney?
Because the sun has no traces of ice.
The sun has no ice, so I'm not going to put it in the middle. I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it on the side because I can compare the moon and the earth, they both have traces of ice. What else, Tyler?
There's no life on the moon.
There's no life. Is there life in the sun? On the sun, Tyler?
Yeah,
So where,
there's no life on the sun.
so could I put that in the middle of the moon and the sun? No life. And then Tyler, what would be the opposite of having no? That doesn't make sense. No life.
Earth has life on it.
Earth has life. No life. And Earth has life. Humans. What else, Daniel?
I was gonna do something only for the moon.
What's only for the moon then?
The rotation time and the revolving time are the same.
Okay, so he just said that it takes the moon a month to rotate and a month to revolve. Is that the same as the Earth? No, the Earth. I just threw it right over them. I do not want to see them again. I apologize. So the moon rotates and revolves at same, we could say that speed. Where, on the other hand, what about the Earth's rotation?
The Earth. I was going to say something for the sun and the moon.
Okay, well, let's compare the sun and the moon.
They both have no air.
They both have no air. They don't have H2O. They have their own, like, atmospheres, but they're not made of H2O. Yes, Tyler?
The life for Earth, the Earth revolves for a year or 365 days.
So 1 year equals a revolution, where a revolution year is 1 month. And then 1 day equals how long it takes it to rotate. 1 day equals a rotation. Tyler, fantastic job. Let's see. Jackson, I haven't heard from you yet.
I'm just gonna ask, how long does it take the sun to rotate one time?
Okay, we talked about the sun rotates. Mr. Lassler wasn't sure how long it exactly takes for it to rotate all the way around, but I do know it's not going in a perfect rotation. Okay? Yes, Lily. What's for the sun?
The sun gives off light.
The sun gives off light. Does the moon give off light?
No,
It reflects light. The sun gives off light. The sun is also in a different category. Aiden,
I have one for moon and Earth.
moon and Earth. Okay. We're gonna compare and contrast moon. What?
Both the Earth and the Moon reflect light from the sun.
That's true.
Because if you look from the Moon, it'll look like the Earth is giving off light, and you look at the Earth, it will look like the Moon.
Phenomenal. I love how hard you're trying. You're right. The sun gives off light, the moon and the earth don't. Okay. What else about the sun? The sun falls in a category. There's only one of these things in our solar system. Do you remember from our test, Marcus?
The sun is the only star in our galaxy.
Yeah, the sun is the only star in our solar system. There are thousands of stars in our galaxy. So if the sun is a star, is the earth a star?
No.
Is the moon a star?
No.
No. We could also say up here the moon orbits around Earth.
It's a star in movies.
And the Earth orbits around the sun. So couldn't we add that the moon and the Earth orbit around the sun?
Yeah.
Yes. What else, Tyler?
The moon has craters.
The moon has craters. And then last one, Jateri.
The sun gives off light to the Earth, so it reflects off the water and it makes the sky blue.
Okay. So we did. That was a misconception that I said. The real reason why the sky is blue is because of the speed of light. Blue is at the correct speed for our human eyes to be able to see it when it hits the dust in our atmosphere. And then a real last one.
So, I have a question.
Yeah.
So if light was going a different speed, the sky might be.
Yeah, if the particles reacted with the light that's coming in our atmosphere at a different speed, we would be able to see a different color in the sky. And when the sun sets, it looks kind of like orangey and red. That's because the way that the Earth is rotating and revolving, we can see a different color because of where the sun is setting in the sky.
And I think I have one.
Okay, hands down. We're going to continue on. I know there's more we can do. Let's look at this page in our book. I believe it's page that introduces Frisco. Page 31. And we're going to reread 31 to refresh our memory, just a little bit about Frisco and mad scientists. And we're going to compare and contrast as we're reading. So I'm going to start with he cleared on top of 31. You can see. Top page 31. I'm going to leave out a word as I'm reading for you to say. Yes, Daniel? Yes, you may. Yes, you may. Yes, you may. No, you have to wait. And is there anyone in there? No, you may go. Okay, let's look at it. He cleared his throat and forced himself to speak
Calmly.
What makes you think there's a monster? All kinds of weird gasping noises are coming from my garbage can. Something's inside. Hurry, Drake. You have to come over immediately and get rid of it. Because if you, I'll just have to call James.
Frisco.
Great Scott, thought Drake, horrified. Not James Frisco. Frisco was in their 5th grade class at school. Frisco was a competitor. Uh-oh. Frisco was a scientist, but he was a
Bad.
scientist. A very bad scientist. A mad scientist, you might say. Frisco's business card read, Frisco, bad mad scientist, better than Doyle and Fosse. Call me, day or night, 555-6190. Why was Frisco such a bad mad?
Scientist.
Because if Frisco didn't like a
Number.
he erased it. Because an experiment asked for
Pink.
Frisco used.
Blue.
Because an experiment called for 2, Frisco used.
1.
Or
3.
but most especially because if an experiment said adult supervision required or
L.
Frisco did it anyway, alone. So we just introduced our character Frisco again, James Frisco. And now what I want you guys to do with your partner is you're going to compare and contrast not just Drake and Fosse to Drake to James Frisco. You're going to compare all 3 of them. So with your partner, what's going to happen is I'm going to call you one at a time to get, one table at a time to get this white paper over here. I'll show you it right now. This is the white paper you have for your partners. It's the same as our moon experiment. This is the same as our moon. So all eyes should be back here now. You're going to have James Frisco in one circle, Nell Fosse in the other, and Drake Doyle in the other circles. Okay? And you're going to write how they are the same and how they are different and with your partner. So that means it's one person writing everything.
No.
No. You are taking turns writing. You're making sure that each person is participating equally. You're going to be graded on. Did you accurately compare and contrast? I'm going to come around. I'm going to ask you to explain to me how they are alike and how they are different based off of your Venn diagram. Okay? You should have a lot of facts in here. All right? So what I'm going to do right now, Eva, I'm going to have you come sit right next to Aiden so you can work with him. Okay? You can move now. And I'm going to call table by table to get markers and color pencils. So you do not have to use markers and color pencils. If you just want to use pens and pencils, that's completely fine with me. And make sure your names are on them. Yes, let's listen to Daniel's question.
Are we doing face partners or
Shoulder partners. And then Emily, what's your question? What was it? That was your partner?
What? No.
Shoulder partners.
No,
Blue table can go get markers if they would like them.
Okay, next shoulder. Why is Gavin Talbert? Gavin Talbert is a character.
We're going to do 5 minutes starting now. Purple table can come get markers too. Yellow table may go get markers and color pencils. Any other table I have is called Sammy's table. Blue table. Purple table.
We need good.
You can get two there. You can swap them out.
Stop decorating.
Okay, so green.
Why are you doing that? Why would you talk about Say sorry.
Sammy's a great shoulder partner. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I help you in any way? What you can do is you can give Sammy some details help to write down. I suggest we're working together. Yeah, why don't you turn? Like just write one, you write one. Why don't you pick one color for each? Which ones are you writing? I love how your circles are.
I'll put them away. We have.
No, that's.
No, this that was in the middle of these two. This is the middle of these two. What's your favorite color?
We don't have a middle circle. So all three.
What's your favorite color?
So why don't you just make your middle circle?
Pick your name out of this and I'll pick
But it's really scientific to go that big. Flossie, Doyle, and Frisco are all helping hair and craft that. How are they all like Tanisha? So in the middle, Tanisha is red scientist. Maybe she's a different color in the middle. Pencil, that's a great idea. So why don't you let Tanisha write scientist? That was his idea. And then write the next one, okay? Great job.
What's the James?
He's a bad man. Bad, very bad. Bad, very bad.
That's okay to share. Why are you? What happened?
Wait, where's the one that what's your round? That would have been easier if you told us that. So now that we have you don't need it, I'm right there. I don't know what it looks like.
This middle is going to be how all three are like. Then I want you to come back and focus. Maybe the focus in the way you guys can put it together.
Okay, I'll just put Drake and now. Here, Dell and Crystal are making it. I think
Then label them. Which square is first up? Did they ask you to use it? Huh? Did they ask you to use it?
Actually, she's the scientist.
But I just don't want to like take the
She's the scientist.
Now in Doyle,
At doing nothing.
and you
He's the best at doing that. Scientist. Maybe she crossed it like you and Brandon. Scientist.
That's what color we're now
I'm gonna put cinnamon hair.
So you don't need to put.
Like coffee. I love these details. Wait, how are they all like them? What are you in the middle? How are they all like So how are
I don't know, but that said something about what you're doing.
That's a great idea.
Brown hair.
How are you helping teachers right now? Get comfortable. Let's talk about boys and girls so far. That doesn't have to be. You write it.
How are we supposed to from Frisco?
You guys have boy and girl written on it?
Your grandma's favorite color?
All three of us?
She's the fastest.
Cherry Rose.
Oh no! You do
not real.
Gabby?
What words what was her hair like? Hey, keep back.
Doesn't it show that he's the detective and she's the scientist? Because it says, what's his afternoon? Real scientist, his scientist. He said, and office Wait, I'm going to find out. Bad scientist. He's the best at being the worst scientist.
What do you mean?
We're best friends.
Do you guys think of the phone numbers? How their phone numbers are like?
Hey, Demetri, do the phone number. Oh my gosh!
What did you write for?
So many 2, 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, 2.
Friends, give me 5, 4. Thank you. We're going to do this for 2 more minutes. It's 1:09. So 1:11 we're going to stop and we're going to share our Venn diagrams. Okay? So make sure you finish it up in 2 minutes.
3, 5, 2, 6, 5, 9, 2.
Nate, you're helping.
Let's go, honey, bad.
they break it down.
You're making a fool of yourself. They actually saw that.
Alright, give me 5, 4, 3, and now. Okay, we're now going to stop where you are, so if you didn't finish, that's okay. This is okay, we'll have more time to work on it later. So put down your pencils and pens. And I'm going to have Nate collect the pens, markers in his table and put them back in the box. And Elle's going to collect them. We're not making sticks. Please stop with the sticks. And put them back in his box. Eva, can you put back the markers at your table? Oh, you think we're going to have stick wars? Why?
Yes, stick wars.
We are first going to have Zachary and Marcus share their Venn diagram. So what I want is for everyone to have your eyes and ears on them and be respectful. Yes. I want you listening. Okay? Eyes and ears on them. I want you to share, let's say you share 3 facts. 3 facts, okay? So let's everyone please be respectful and listen to them. Daniel, we're not writing right now. Alright, what are you going to share, Marcus and Zachary? So compare and contrast your characters.
Neil Foster is a female.
Okay, so if you're saying that Nell Fox is a female, who are you comparing her to? When we compare things, we have to compare 2 different objects. So you're comparing Nell to Drake or Nell to James?
Nell to Drake.
Okay, so Fossey is a female, and then Drake and James are males, okay? Make sure you make complete comparisons. Eva, please move Marcus.
Nell and Drake are both scientists.
Demetri, you should be watching us here. And what was your second detail?
Drake Doyle and Nell Foster are both good.
They're both good scientists. James Frisco. Great job. Let's get a little clap for them. We're doing a great job. All right, we're going to have Jackson and Emily give 3 facts. Quickly. You can just do it right there. Quickly. I'm not doing it. It's not name on it?
No.
All right. Eyes and ears on. Mia, please stop writing. Okay, Emily Jackson, what are your 3 facts?
3?
What can you compare and contrast to your characters?
Our 3 characters, Drake Doyle, Nell Fossey, and Frisco.
Hey, no. Okay. How are they alike?
They're all in the 5th grade class.
They're all in a 5th grade class,
They're all scientists.
and they're all scientists. And then give me a fact about how they're different. I we're just doing 3 facts, so everyone has a turn. How are they different? Which 2 people are different? Jackson?
They both do science for good.
Who does?
Nell and Doyle.
Nell and Doyle both do science for good. Great job. Class. Applause. Okay, we're going to have Jesse and Carrie quickly You can do it from where you were if you don't want to come up to the front. It's up to you. Go to the front? Okay. Demetri, make sure you're, Demetri and Daniel, I love how you're paying attention to people while they're speaking, okay? Alright. Let's give an example of how two people or three people are alike. Compare them. They're all in 5th grade. Okay, someone's already said that. Another detail, Terry.
They all have phone numbers.
They all have phone numbers, so that one is the middle of their Venn diagram. But how are their phone numbers different?
Oh, you got 6 questions.
Are different? Well, what did you say about Drake? I see you talk about his hair. What is Drake's hair color? It's like cinnamon toast, and then how is Fossey's hair color?
It's like coffee.
It's like coffee. So they compare and contrast the color of their hair, which is a physical trait that you can see. All right, great job, guys. Let's have Lily and Nate. Lily and Nate. Quickly. That's okay. Let's just get what you have. All right, Lily. What are 2 things that you and Nate?
They're alike. They're all
Marcus?
scientists.
They are all scientists. That's okay, Nate. Great job.
Doyle and Crystal.
Doyle and Frisco are both boys. If Doyle Fossey is a okay. Frisco's bad scientist. Great. Oh, we have one more. Frisco doesn't follow directions. Great job. All right, we're gonna have Mia and Jamal. Let's see if we can find any details. Please stop with that. Thank you. Let's see if we can have new details that we haven't heard so far to compare and contrast our characters. Hey, now, can you turn around and please watch people while we're talking? Come on, your whole body, your chair around. Turn your chair. Turn your chair. All right, Mia and Jawal have the floor. How are Drake and Fossey alike?
Drake and Nell. They both work in the lab.
Drake, Fossey, and Nell,
Work in the lab.
they work in the lab. Being respectful. Okay, that's a great comparison. No one said that yet. They both work in a lab, but how are they different? Drake wears glasses. Nell doesn't wear glasses. Those are really interesting comparisons. Anyone else write that down about the glasses? We got that? Sammy? Great job. Okay. Good job, Mia and Jamal. I love your Venn diagram. Very creative. Let's have Aiden, Nell, and Sammy share a couple facts on their Venn diagram. Good job, guys.
No.
Remember our rules when someone else is talking, you're listening. I love how Courtney's been listening to every presentation.
Frisco and Fossey, their names both start with an F.
Their names both start with an F. Very creative.
That's not
Another detail, fact. They both. Who doesn't? Frisco and both don't have glasses. And then one more. Compare, contrast, or contrast. Frisco doesn't follow the rules. Great job. I like how Aiden C. Okay, Aiden C. and Eva come up. Alright, A and C, what are one of the things that you're comparing and contrasting about these characters in your story? Their phone number, what's different about their phone number?
Even though they have the first 3 digits, they're the same in the last, probably.
4 digits?
Yeah.
It's a great comparison of their phone numbers. A now. What else?
You plant, Brunel and Drake, they're both very mature scientists.
Drake and Nell are mature scientists. I love that. Dimitri, please don't write and pay attention. And then one more way you compare and contrast them.
All 3 of them are scientists.
All 3 of them are scientists. Round of applause for Amy and Lisa. And then let's have Dimitri and Daniel. I love the colors you used. I love the way you guys color coded your Venn diagrams too. That was very creative to color code each circle. All right, let's give our attention to Daniel and Dimitri.
Oh.
Yes. What about Doyle and Foxy and Frisco? Did you find out other characters?
They all have note cards or business cards.
They all have business cards. All 3 of them. Doyle, Frisco, and Foxy all have business cards. What else, Dimitri?
They both were in 5th grade.
They're all in the 5th grade, all 3 of them. And then how are 2 of them different from each other? If we can contrast them.
Foxy is the fastest runner in 5th grade, and Doyle is
Flossie is the fastest runner in 5th grade. That's a new one. I love it. Great job, guys. Alright. You guys have that too? Alright, round of applause for Dimitri and Daniel. Round of applause. Be respectful. Alright, now. Alright, let's listen to Nadia and Hayden. I love how Tyler's been listening to all the presentations, waiting patiently.
Both of them, their business cards say call day or night.
Call day or night.
For all of them.
All of them.
They're all like they all try to be scientists.
They all try to be scientists.
They're all in the same class.
And then Janiyah, I need to hear a fact from you about how they're different.